Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for joining. It is 16:48, so not always a lot of energy at this time of the day, but there is the after-hours session later on, so hopefully people still have something to look forward to. My name is Julian Kanjere from South Africa, and I'm going to be talking about offline central bank digital currencies, stablecoins, and payments, using the XRP ledger, right? So the big idea is how do we do payments that are offline using the XRP ledger? Okay. For the session, I am going to initially talk about offline payments, just broadly, at least how we think about offline payments. Talk a little bit maybe about how economists and central bankers think about this as well, right? And then talk about stable coins and retail CBDC. In our mind, at least for this conversation, they are one and the same, at least the underlying mechanics and representation on the XRP ledger as issued assets. And then I'll weave both of these together and talk about how at Mandla Money we've developed a wallet that enables offline payments through text messaging, right? So sending an SMS and making payments to somebody, and how we use this for stable coins and in the future for retail central bank digital currencies. And then I'll also do a demo if time permits. Okay, so to kick us off, I think let's just keep this at the back of our minds to say, what would an offline payment solution on the XRP ledger look like, right? So that's the point of departure. And then over and above that, using stable coins or central bank digital currencies. I think I sat in a session earlier where you're talking about payments in South America, and IOUs and so forth. So it doesn't have to be restricted to stablecoins and CBDCs, but any issued asset on the XRP ledger. What does offline payments using issued assets on the XRP ledger look like? Okay, so let's talk a bit about offline payments and how we are thinking about them, right? So offline payments would be any mode of payment where you don't need access to the internet, you don't need access to a network operator, mobile network operator, and transactions are processed async, right? So there's possibly a bit of a delay in settlement of these transactions. Now, this room, I'm assuming, is primarily developers, technology enthusiasts, and I'm not sure if there's any central bankers or economists, but we've had some conversations with the Bank of International Settlements on offline payments, and for them, the distinction between pure offline and semi-offline is like they take that very seriously. The solution that we're talking about, which is the Mandla Money SMS wallet, is possibly semi-offline because we need access to a mobile network operator, right? You don't need access to internet, you don't need a smartphone, but you do need access to a mobile network operator. So I'm calling that offline, but that's, according to economists and central bankers, semi-offline. And for them, something that's purely offline is maybe a peer-to-peer sort of solution where you connect maybe via Bluetooth, like the conversation we had earlier, and so forth. But no need to get into mechanics of what is pure offline or semi-offline. And then why offline payments? There's different motivations for offline payments necessary for inclusion, whether that's financial inclusion or digital inclusion, universal access, and so forth. From a central banker's point of view, they provide resilience to a payment system. So if you have a cashless society and then you have some civil contingency like an earthquake or something and systems go down, how do people make payments, right? So offline payments, if you have offline payment mechanisms, that helps add resilience to your infrastructure. And then lower transaction costs. This idea of bundling offline payments into a batch and then processing that batch in one go, which can drive down costs as well. Okay, but some of the concerns with offline payments is you don't have immediate processing, right? So processing sometimes will happen when you have connectivity restored. There's delayed settlement. So in that process where somebody has paid but it hasn't settled, who takes on that risk of those funds that they're holding? Limited fraud detection in offline mode. So I mentioned I'm from South Africa. I flew in over the weekend. I spent a few days in Belgium, And on Sunday, I bought some beers in Belgium, and I got a phone call in about 30 seconds from my bank asking to say, we've just seen your bank card being used in Belgium. Like, is that you? And then they asked me to verify some questions, right? So in an offline setting, that fraud detection is limited, right? Like, you can't always detect it in almost real time. Okay, so those are some of the concerns with offline payments. But with that, then what are what are the dream ideas for offline payments, right? What do we desire in offline payments? We want to see near instant settlement. We want it to be cheap. We want to have a way of knowing that the person transacting is who they claim to be. We want to limit the amount that you can spend in an offline setting, right? So configure that at any one point, transactions are below a certain amount to limit the risk of losing funds in this offline setting. We want offline payments to work without internet, without a smartphone, without access to a network operator, or a combination of these, right? So those are some of the ideas that we are thinking around offline payments. Then let's take a look at stable coins and central bank digital currencies. Again, for this conversation, they are one and the same, at least the underlying mechanics. If you are interested in some of the differences, then with a stable coin, this could be issued by a private company or an individual versus a central bank digital currency that's issued by a central bank. But at the end of the day, both of these are on-chain representations of fiat currency, of real-world value, right? And ultimately, on the XRP ledger, right, these are issued. We're looking at these as issued assets, right? Examples of stable coins on the XRP ledger, or just in general, you'd have the USDC, which is fairly popular, and then we're starting to see various countries experimenting with central bank digital currencies as well. But again, for this conversation, these are one and the same issued assets on the XRP ledger. Okay, but with that, I mentioned that we've had some conversations with different players saying that, look, we've got this offline wallet, users can send and receive value over SMS, but we've had repeated questions around how do you administer this from an operator's point of view, right? So if you are a central bank or you're a fintech that's operating this sort of platform, how do you manage the operations around the stablecoin or the CBDC, right? So this has led us to coming up with this idea of the desired properties for administering a stablecoin, right? So the one is seamless integration with XRP Ledger, which is what we're building on. If you're an administrator, you want to be able to intuitively access this interface and carry out operations like maybe creating an account if you need to, setting a trust line. So anybody who needs to receive a stable coin or a CBDC needs to have a trust line set to the issuer, right? So if I'm an administrator managing this platform, I want to be able to do this seamlessly from this interface. I want to have integration into the XRP Ledger decentralized exchange, right? That would just help me to manage the different assets on the platform. So talking to that point, I mean, I'll show what that looks like in a short while. And then again, going back to this idea of if once you start dealing with transactions that possibly have some exchange control and the like, you start running into this idea of limits where the regulator wants to limit how much a person can transact in a given period. Or not even just for exchange control, but even just in general with mobile money, there's this idea of there's limits around if a user's identity is not known, then you want to limit how much they can transact per day or per month, right? So if I'm an administrator of a stablecoin or a CBDC, then I need to be able to set these limits of how much somebody can transact and so forth. Okay, so those are the desired properties for administering a stablecoin or a CBDC from where we stand. So weaving all of these together, I want to now talk about how at Mandla Money we've built this Mandla wallet, which allows people to transact over SMS, how we're managing these offline payments, and some of these ideas around administering a CBDC and a stablecoin. Okay, so what Mandla Wallet is an interoperable wallet that allows users to send, receive, and store issued assets, right? Stablecoins, central bank digital currencies, and so forth. All of this via text message, right? And I've got offline in quotation marks because, like I said, we're not pure offline. There's no need for a smartphone. There's no need for an internet connection. But what you do need is access to a mobile network operator, right? So we've integrated with Twilio to give us that SMS internet integration. And then that allows us to then hook into the XRP ledger whenever we receive funds coming into the wallet or whenever we're sending out. And then we've chosen to do this on the XRP ledger because some of the properties that I mentioned at the start, it's low cost, allows for micropayments, fast settlement, and the Ripple team is also looking at central bank digital currencies and having conversations with central banks. So we've part of our hypothesis is that we will see central banks making use of this XRP ledger technology for their central bank digital currency implementations. Okay, so if I had to describe this wallet to somebody else in a different way, I would simply say it's like sending USD to a friend using Apple Pay, except you've got the XRP ledger as your payment rail in the back. And then what that looks like is, not sure if this is working. Okay, this is too bright to be able to see the clicker. But basically you have a user right at the top. They send an SMS prompt to say hello, and then they get a response to say that you're not logged into the wallet. After that, they get an OTP, a one-time PIN, that they then need to send back to our servers, and that gives us a guarantee that the users got the physical device, their mobile phone, on them. Okay, it doesn't guarantee that this mobile phone has, maybe it's been hijacked by someone else, but at least we know that the device is physically present. They send back the OTP, and then they get a response that they're now logged in, and they get a 10-minute session, and in that session, then they can do transactions, check their balance, and so forth. So that's the SMS wallet side of it, right, where we integrated with Twilio and XRP ledger. But then around this, what we've then built is an admin interface for administering a stablecoin or CBDC, which is part of the process of if you are operating this platform, you then need to do these admin features as well. Okay, so the first is we've built an XRPL operations dashboard, and what this allows is for us to do the repetitive tasks of, maybe you want to, somebody here has launched a stablecoin, we want to bring that into our platform. We have to set a trust line from our wallet account to that issuer's account. How do we do that? An administrator can now do this through this interface. If an administrator wants to issue their own stablecoin, they could do this from this interface. If they want to maybe query a specific transaction, they can do this from this interface without having to move out of this ecosystem into another platform, right? Before this, we had a bunch of scripts that we would run manually when we're testing and stuff. But at least now we've gotten to this point where an administrator doesn't need to be running scripts. They don't need to be technical. They can just do this from a web interface. Okay. And then the next is we've built an integration into the XRPL DEX. And this is to allow us to get USDC or to manage USDC liquidity on our platform, right? And the backstory to this is we've got integration into a centralized exchange in South Africa. And through this exchange, we can deposit South African Rand, which is the local fiat there, into the exchange, and then we get XRP. But we don't have a way of getting USDC on the XRP ledger easily into our platform. And this is where this integration comes in. Say once we've gone from South African Rand into XRP, we can then go from XRP into USDC through this interface that we have built. And similarly, if there's an asset that's available on the DEX that we needed to bring into our wallet ecosystem, then we'll be able to add it to this swap to this DEX interface and be able to get that asset into our platform. Okay. And then I spoke about limits, where with mobile money or sometimes with exchange control, you want to be able to set limits for an asset to say users can only transact so much per day or so much per month. And this is this asset limit dashboard, right? And what it means is if you have users that are using your platform and you haven't done what they call KYC, know your customer, you haven't verified their identity, then their KYC level, as you can see on there, would be set to the least KYC level, and that would have the most restrictive or the least limits that they can transact per day or per month. So what that means is that if a user on our platform is in South Africa and they're trying to transact with XRP to send XRP to someone else, this would then limit how much they can transact per day or per month or maybe per year, the maximum for that. And this basically then allows us to set limits on other assets, on other issued assets on the XRP ledger. So whether that's going to be USDC or anything else, and specific to a country. So if this is being used in the Netherlands, for example, or in South America, specific to a country would be able to set those limits based on whether you've identified your customer beforehand or not. Okay. And then the last is just a general admin user dashboard that gives you the number of users that are using your platform. So this would ideally be deployed in different instances, the number of users that are on the platform, the number of SMSs that you have sent out, because it's a text message wallet. So what you can see here is a message that's been sent to a user, to say that they've received so much XRP from another user. This is basically just tracking SMSs that are sent out to users. In case a user then comes back with a query that this is not working or they haven't received the transaction, an administrator can come in and search to see the SMSs that have been sent to a user or the SMSs that have gone out of the platform in a specific time. Okay, so what I've described is two parts. The one is the SMS wallet, where you're able to send and receive, and then the admin side of it, to say if you are administering a stable coin or central bank digital currency through, what would that potentially look like? So I'm going to quickly do a demo of the interface that I've just shown, and we pray that at 5 p.m. the demo gods are smiling kindly for a live demo. Okay, so can see that, yeah. So this is what the dashboard would look like. I will go to the operations dashboard. Okay, I am connected to the internet, so that should be fine. And basically here, like I mentioned, you can do various things like creating a wallet. You could make an XRP payment if you wanted to. Again, this is from the context of an administrator that's managing this stablecoin or this CBDC and the like. You could set a trust line to an issuer and so forth. So let's create a wallet. It's going to say I want to fund the wallet and creation, create wallet. Tells us it's funding the wallet. Okay, and then it says a new wallet is created, and we've got the wallet created, and the information is at the bottom here. I think what I will do is, let me open a new tab. Okay, let's go back to that operations dashboard. And then let's say we want to, again, I'm an administrator, I want to quickly check what the balance of this account is. I'll click on Pool Account Balances, and then I can either use the address or the seed to get the address. I'll just copy that address, paste that there, click on Get Account Balance, and then we see what the balance on that account is. If this has different assets, we'll then be able to see those assets. If we want to then create a trust line to a stablecoin issuer, we'd basically be able to do the same. We come here, we specify who the issuer is, what the currency is, and what the amount that we want to be able to allow those parties to transact with would be. Okay, so that's one part of this. The other is the DEX integration. For this integration, we're making use of a price oracle from the XRPL Labs team. I'm not sure if there's anyone from XRPL Labs here, but they've got like, we sort of went around searching to try and figure what's the best way to do this, and then we came across some work that they've done, so really excited about that. But they basically persist the price of USD to XRP every minute onto the ledger, and we can get that price from them. So here, again, I am an operator, I am the custodian, this is my address, and I wish to get some USD from this address. I'll basically say that, maybe let me sell 100 XRP, and then that'll be about $57 that I'll get. This is my current XRP balance, and when I click on swap, tells me it's swapping. Okay, transaction successful, and I'll be able to see that transaction at the bottom here, and my balance should decrease as well. Okay, so that's the DEX interface. I could show the user stats dashboard, but we are running out of time, so let me move on to just the last part. So I've shown the admin interface for an administrator. The next part would be just an idea around interoperability between wallets, right? So if we're dealing with stablecoins and CBDCs, we want users to be able to move seamlessly between different wallets within the XRPL ecosystem. And the next slide that I've got here is just demonstrating that concept, where the first screenshot is I'm in the Zoom wallet, and I've sent 10 XRP to a user on the Mandla wallet side. I've specified the Mandla wallet address and the user's destination tag. And then the user will get an SMS, because it's an SMS wallet, notifying them that they've received 10 XRP from outside of the ecosystem, right? And then after that, the user that's received that 10 XRP then decides to say, I actually want to send 5 XRP to someone else that's also using the Mandla wallet, and they can do that. And this would be the same process for XRP, cryptocurrency, the same process for a stablecoin like USDC, and the same process for a central bank digital currency, interoperability within the XRPL ecosystem. Okay, so I am 13 seconds over time. That is the end of my presentation. Coming back to this, what could an offline payment solution on the XRP ledger look like? An SMS wallet and a web-based admin interface. Okay, thank you very much, and I hope that was useful.